First episode opens with Siuan standing on the balcony outside her quarters. Elayne tells her it's time. Moiraine and Lan watch the White Tower from afar. Inside, Liandrin learns that Siuan has summoned her. However, only the sitters of each Aja are allowed to attend. Liandrin's Red Aja friends vow to support her regardless of the charges. Avon and Maxim try to accompany Alanna for protection, but they're barred from entry. Meanwhile, Perrin, Adelius, and Nynaeve track down sacred objects that Siuan wants them to protect, including a metal cuff that looks suspiciously like what the Shanshan used to control their domain. Elsewhere, Liandrin accuses Siuan of being a traitor, informing the sitters that Siuan met with Moiraine despite the latter being banished. Siuan also encountered a man who could channel, Rand al'Thor, the Dragon Reborn. She let him get away too. Siuan denies this as the room fills with gasps. She pivots the attention back to Liandrin, unveiling her as a dark friend and member of the Black Aja. To prove this, Siuan brings in Nynaeve. She explains to the room that Nynaeve was sold to the Shanshan by Liandrin. Liandrin doesn't repudiate this. Instead, she channels, levitating in the air. Then, Siuan ensnares Liandrin with fiery gold weaves, calling the latter out for daring to attack her sisters. She demands Liandrin to give her the name of every Black Aja member before she's put to death. Liandrin calls upon her Black Aja sisters to join her. Suddenly, we see sitters from various Ajas rise to defend Liandrin. Alanna and Elayne flank Siuan as they protect her from the Black Aja's power blasts. What transpires next is unadulterated bloodshed and violence. Horrified by the display, Nynaeve attempts to channel but fails. Next, one Black Aja strikes one of the pillars, seemingly falling on Nynaeve. After this, another Black Aja chucks large debris at Siuan, knocking her down. This releases Siuan's hold on Liandrin, who also falls to the ground. Outside the doors, Maxim and Emond try to join the action to protect Alanna. They butt heads with Tsudama and Galena, members of the Red Aja, before a handful of Black Aja lash out at them. As it turns out, everyone you think is a hero is really a dark friend. This rings true for Nynaeve, who unveils herself as Black Aja to Perrin and Adelius. Nynaeve steals the sacred objects, but not before zapping their minds via channeling. Meanwhile, Liandrin urges her Black Aja sisters to link with her and combine their abilities. They channel a massive energy pulse, which sends Alanna and Elayne scrambling to protect Siuan. Liandrin and the Black Aja slip out. Siuan orders her daughters to track them down. Next, Moiraine and Lan stare in horror as the aforementioned blast emanates from the White Tower. Perrin cradles her sister, who's not doing so hot. While Nynaeve's work doesn't erase Perrin's memories, Adelius isn't so lucky. "Who are you?" Adelius asks Perrin. Elsewhere, Alanna, Emond, and Maxim confront Liandrin, Nynaeve, and the others. Before this, though, Nynaeve informs Liandrin that she has the artifacts. The plan is to snag a ship and get the hell out of Dodge. Siuan searches for stray Black Aja through the streets of Tar Valon. She encounters Joya and Emiko, who kill the sisters tailing Siuan and restrain our fave Amerlin's seat. Alanna, Maxim, and Emond engage in a bloody skirmish with Liandrin. At one point, Alanna's warders stab Liandrin through the heart. However, Liandrin conveniently has a former member of the Yellow Aja to heal her. Liandrin and the Black Aja knock Alanna into a pair of columns. She orders her sisters to flee. Before she departs, though, Liandrin controls a bloody sword with her mind and sends it in Alanna's direction. Maxim shields her while Emond takes the sword through the chest. He dies. Maxim tearfully admits he can't feel Emond anymore, while Alanna lets out a gut-wrenching scream as she leans over his body. Meanwhile, Joya and Emiko send debris from a collapsing bell tower to topple onto Siuan as they run. Thankfully, Moiraine stops said debris from landing on Siuan. Siuan and Moiraine lock eyes in an emotionally charged moment before Moiraine leaves. Inside the White Tower, Lan finds an unconscious Nynaeve in the wreckage. He cradles her as she slowly wakes up. Later, Nynaeve reunites with Egwene, Rand, Perrin, and Mat. Rand reveals that Moiraine wants him to go to Tyr next because one of the most powerful sangreal is there. Calendor, or as Mat rattles off in the Old Tongue, the sword that is not a sword. Calendor is located in a fortress called the Stone of Tyr. Whether it can slay a Forsaken or the Dark One remains to be seen. Elayne informs the gang that Moiraine wants to chat with them. They join Loial, Avienda, Chiedband Bane. Moiraine reveals they're all sailing for Tyr the following morning. It's not safe for any of them to remain in Tar Valon. News of the Dragon Reborn appearing in Falme is spreading. Plus, the Black Aja striking against the White Tower makes them even more of a collective sitting duck. After this, Mat persuades Perrin and Rand to join him for a night on the town. Avienda and the other maidens are hot on Rand's heels. Rand urges the Ael trio to leave him be for a spell. Bane and Chiad insist they must protect Rand and see him safely to the Ael waste. Avienda is unsure Rand's cut out to be the Karakarn. Firstly, he has yet to face the trial of Ruidian. Rand reminds Avienda that she refuses to teach him. All she does is stare at him and roll her eyes. Meanwhile, Egwene, Nynaeve, and Elayne have a girls' night. Egwene admits that sometimes it feels like she and Rand are growing closer. Other times, however, when Rand touches her, Egwene sees Rhenna. It's clear she's grappling with the trauma of her abuse at the hands of the Shanchan. Elsewhere, someone sketches Mat with the Horn of Valere. Perrin and Rand watch as Mat continues to boast about blowing said horn. Hey, a little ego boost can't hurt anybody. The lads chat about women. Mat has his sights set on the Ael trio. Rand discloses he slept with someone else besides Egwene, but not that, she was a Forsaken. Next, Verin tells Moiraine and Lan that the Black Asia stole the tower's most powerful weapons. Verin warns Moiraine about keeping Rand from the Aes Sedai. Also, to keep a watchful eye on his progress. The madness could take him at any moment. After this, Lan and Moiraine run into Lanfear, who's as sleek and stylish as ever. She wants Rand to go to Tyr and use Callandor to protect himself against the other Forsaken. Interestingly, she and Moiraine are on the same page. Lanfear believes Rand's friends are holding him back from becoming the man he's meant to be. She thinks Moiraine will do what's necessary to get rid of them. Once Lanfear vanishes, Lan warns Moiraine not to trust her. She urges Lan to get his Malkiri blade from the tower. If she's wrong about Lanfear, they'll kill her. Meanwhile, Egwene and Nynaeve tease Elayne about Avienda. Besides Perrin, Elayne is the only person Avienda is nice to. Siuan arrives, allowing Elayne to relax now, but tomorrow it's back to the novice whites. Elayne steps out so Siuan can chat with Nynaeve and Egwene. She encourages them to exercise caution regarding Rand. He could turn on them. Initially, Egwene refuses to resume her duties as a novice. That is until she strikes a deal with Siuan. If the Amirlan seat allows her to go through the arches and become accepted, Egwene will return to the tower. We see Moiraine eavesdropping on their conversation. After this, we see Egwene step through the arches during her test. Lan reunites with Nynaeve, who reassures her that Egwene will do just fine. Nynaeve tells Lan about what she saw in the arches, their beautiful child, and yes, they were happy as a family. Elsewhere, Elayne and Avienda get their flirt on. Elayne also reassures Avienda that Rand will adjust to his responsibilities to the Ael people as the Karakarn. At the same time, Loial and Rand recite the prophecies together. Elayne enters the room and dispenses wisdom about wielding power to Rand. Next, we see Egwene, Nynaeve, and Elayne in gorgeous outfits as they ride horses through stunning terrain. This is what Egwene sees when she enters the arches. In this alternate reality, Egwene is the Amirlan seat. They stumble upon Rand, who's succumbed to the madness. He's standing in a river, looking, mad. He demands they bow to him. Egwene advises Nynaeve and Elayne to steel themselves. Egwene emerges from the arches covered in blood. Meanwhile, Rand and Moiraine chat about next steps. Rand wonders if their trip to Tyr and his retrieving Callandor might be a trap. Perhaps this is what the Forsaken want. Rand admits he wants to head home to the Two Rivers. Moiraine reminds him that he needs a legitimate army, not a militia composed of farmers. Rand asserts Moiraine can't tell him what to do anymore. Siuan slips the Great Serpent Ring on Egwene's finger. She's officially an accepted. Egwene departs, but not before telling Siuan that her duty is to the light, not the tower. Now that she has the ring, she can come and go as she pleases. That evening, Lan shows Nynaeve his father's Malkiri sword. He voices his concern regarding the Forsaken. They won't just come for Rand, they'll come for everyone. Elsewhere, Mat and Loial slake their thirst with some booze. Bane and Chiad propose they partake in an IL classic game, Maiden's Kiss. They thrust their spears at Mat's throat. The name of the game is kissing. If Mat's kissing is satisfactory, Chiad and Bane move their spears away from his throat. However, if it's a fail, they'll draw blood and perhaps more. Unsurprisingly, Mat's all in because he loves kissing. Then Elayne and Avienda play their own version of the kissing game. Well, sans blades. They finally share a smooch. They're cute. Meanwhile, Egwene dresses Rand's wound. He asks her about her venture through the arches. Egwene remarks that it was terrible. She admits a version of him was there, but she's not afraid of Rand. Egwene vows to stay by his side till the end of the line. While they get intimate, Egwene relives the memory of Rhenna grabbing her throat. Despite this, she tells Rand she wants to try. Next, we see a cloaked stranger descend the stairs behind Moiraine. Nynaeve and Mat hang out after everyone else has gone to bed. He spreads out his cards and asks if she wants to play. Nynaeve reminds Mat that she's still his wisdom. She can help him. In addition to occasionally blurting out sentences in the old tongue, Mat has insomnia and hears voices in his head. He even has memories that aren't his own. Blowing the horn of Valere changed him. Egwene has a nightmare about Rhenna in Falme and Mad Rand from her Arches experience. Mat becomes entranced by his cards. The figures move to and fro. While he's distracted, the stranger stabs Nynaeve. Egwene wakes again to find an alternate Rand strangling her. Rand wakes up and tackles Alt Rand. They both tell Egwene to run. More Rands emerge from two adjacent mirrors. At the same time, an errant axe flies around the room where Perrin and Loial sleep. It embeds itself in Perrin before he rips it out of him, sending it flying elsewhere. At one point, Loial throws it in Bane and Chiad's direction. At another, the axe almost chokes Chiad, but Loial saves her. Meanwhile, the stranger incessantly stabs Nynaeve. Mat's still bewitched by the cards. Moiraine and Lan listen to the carnage. This is part of their deal with Lanfear. She orchestrated this to extricate Rand from his friends. Egwene channels and inadvertently smashes one of the mirrors, which shatters one of the Alt-Rands. Another Alt-Rand stabs Egwene in the gut. Realizing it's the mirrors, Egwene instructs Rand to break the other mirror. The real Rand channels and does just that. However, he enjoys channeling a little too much. Egwene urges him to let go. Loial lodges the axe into the floor and breaks off the handle. Lan overhears Nynaeve call out for him. Unable to stand idly by any longer, Lan grabs his sword and stabs the stranger. Moiraine emerges and heals Nynaeve's wounds. Later, Moiraine and Lan confront Lanfear. They tell her she went too far. Nynaeve was stabbed 11 times. Moiraine describes the assailant as having gray eyes with blackened fingers. Lanfear realizes this is a gray man. Only one Forsaken can create gray men. Lanfear urges Lan and Moiraine to get Rand out of Tar Valon now. The following day, Nynaeve and Mat reveal their plans to stay in Tar Valon. Perrin is returning to the Two Rivers with Loial, Bane, and Chiad. Since Loial saved the maidens' lives, they're offering their protection. Egwene insists she's sticking with Rand. Lan gives Nynaeve his mother's ring as a parting gift, asserting that he wouldn't want anyone else as his queen. Oh, my heart. Avienda's accompanying Rand, too. She's giving him a chance to prove he's the Karakarn. Rand tells Moiraine they're not going to Tyr, but the Ael Waste. He'll amass his army from the Ael people to defeat the Shadow. Elsewhere, Moghedien tortures Jaichim, a white cloak. We see her transform him into a gray man, and it ain't pretty. After this transformation, Moghedien tasks him with finding someone for her. Second episode opens in Caemlyn, the high seat of Andor, 20 years ago. Morghese, Trakand, and Elaida glide down the aisle to the Lion Throne. Morghese is pregnant with Elayne. She speaks with the leaders of various houses. We learn that after a bloody battle for succession, she's being crowned queen. Said leaders kneel before her to swear fealty. Morghese vows to wipe the slate clean should they offer their loyalty. Suddenly, those standing behind the house leaders slit their throats. Morghese insists she cannot risk more betrayal and treachery. Now, the killers are declared the leaders of their respective houses. Elaida crowns Morghese as everyone chants for the new Queen of Andor. Now, we're back in the present. Elayne overhears Leane and Varen arguing in the corridor. Tensions are running high in the White Tower these days. Varen stops by the room Elayne's cleaning to remark that her mother's coronation song is playing. What's Queen Morgase doing in Tar Valon? Sure enough, we see the queen with Lord Gabriel, her prince consort, and her sons Galad and Gawain. Elayne trails behind them. Siuan makes the Andor party wait a beat before Elayne announces their arrival. We learn that Elayne is of the Red Aja, and Aes Sedai has always been among the court of Andor. When Elayne gets to Gabriel, she blanks temporarily on his name before recollecting her thoughts. This feels significant to the narrative. Next, our Amirlan seat asks Morgase about the purpose of her visit. Morgase has a one-track mind. She demands to know what happened to Elayne. Siuan promises to escort Morgase herself to meet Elayne. Meanwhile, Rand, Egwene, Moiraine, Lan, and Aviendha continue their trek to the Ale Waste. Elsewhere, Perrin, Loial, Bane, and Chiad arrive in the Two Rivers via the Ways. Loial looks pretty damn exhausted. As it turns out, if an OJ is away from their steading, a disease called the Longing takes hold. It inevitably kills them. Perrin uses his wolf brother abilities to sniff out the arrival of a man and a woman who also used the Ways. They smell like ash. Later, Elayne reunites with Gabriel and her brothers. Gabriel warns that Morgase has a head full of steam. She's not happy. Elayne assumes her brothers are there to train to become warders, but Galad and Gawain reveal that the Queen of Andor wants to take Elayne back to Caemlyn. Meanwhile, healers of the Yellow Aja stand above Mat. They attempt to parse his clouded mind. After this attempt, Rima explains to Nynaeve that the healer's weave wouldn't hold. Mat's mind is a hot mess. Rima compares healing it to bringing someone back from the dead. That said, they'll monitor Mat closely. At the same time, Siuan and Morgase head to Elaine's quarters. Siuan casts aside her Amirlan seat armor for a softer approach, revealing that Elayne is safer in the tower than anywhere else. The alliance between the Lion Throne and the White Tower is crucial to maintaining peace in the West. Then, Elayne and Morgase reunite. Morgase gets down to brass tacks. She's here to take Elayne home. Elayne protests this, insisting she hasn't had enough time here. She still needs to go through the arches. Morgase reveals Elayne will receive an honorary serpent ring, though. However, Elayne wants to be the first full Aes Sedai to sit the Lion Throne. Next, Lan and Rand train with swords while Egwene and Moiraine watch. Moiraine notices bruising on Egwene's neck. She asks if Rand is responsible. Egwene brushes her off, insisting she's only there to protect Rand. Moiraine asserts they're on the same side. Aviendha returns with dinner. She spots Rand's sword training and wonders why the Karakarn is wasting his time with swords. That's not the Ael way. She explains to Egwene and Moiraine that Ael prophecy states that the Karakarn will save the Ael people and destroy them. It's a 2-for-1 deal. Wetlanders don't understand bargain deals like the Ael. Later, Perrin, Loial, Bane, and Chiad head into Perrin's village. Home, sweet home. There, Perrin reunites with Egwene's mother, Marin, Rena Mahoney. She reveals that much has changed since he and the others left. Whitecloaks pass through regularly now. Marin insists that Perrin and his pals must hide with the others. Then they can leave the following day. Marin leads to the Winespring Inn to find Alana and Maxim in hiding. It's a small world, after all. Elsewhere, Morgase asks Elayne for intel. Elayne reveals that something awful happened in the White Tower, enough to make everyone stand on edge. Support for Siuan is wavering among some sitters. At the same time, Elayne and Varen warn Siuan about Elayne. Many Aes Sedai still support her. After all, Elayne lost the Amirlan seat to Siuan years ago. Elayne is very good at digging for information. Then, our trio meets with Min, who's posing as a servant. Varen has Min infiltrating powerful circles in the tower to gather info. Siuan asks Min about her visions. Min reveals that a significant battle is on the horizon for the White Tower, culminating in the deaths of countless Aes Sedai. Meanwhile, Mat has fun with a gal pal impressed by his horn. Her friend arrives to inform them about Galad and Gawain fighting shirtless. Mat ventures out of his quarters to watch the spectacle. He's unimpressed, but all the other novices are swooning. Nynaeve and Elayne are also there. After the show, Elayne and Nynaeve meet Siuan in her chambers. Siuan tasks Nynaeve and Elayne with rooting out the rest of the Black Aja in the tower. Liandrin undoubtedly left a few members behind in her wake. Siuan admits it's challenging to trust even her most trustworthy advisors like Elayne and Perrin. However, she knows Nynaeve and Elayne are uncorrupted. Elayne will also go through the arches that night. Elayne informs Nynaeve about her upcoming departure. Morgus is there to take her home. Her duty is to the Lion Throne. Nynaeve reminds Elayne that her test is fast approaching, though. She storms off in silence. Later, Moiraine tells Perrin that the White Cloaks are looking for him. Dane Bornhald is on the hunt for Perrin after the latter killed his father, Geofram, in Falme. Alana and Maxim reveal they were attacked by Trollocs. Trollocs have returned to the area, which is fun. Perrin insists that if the White Cloaks are after him, he'll turn himself in to save the village. Meanwhile, Egwene dreams about her traumatic experience in Falme. Rhenna chokes her, spitting blood into her mouth. While Egwene has a bona fide nightmare, Rand and Lanfear get cozy in his dream. Lanfear wonders why Rand isn't going to Tyr anymore. It's hard to protect him if she can't find him. Lanfear insults Egwene, which Rand doesn't like. She believes Egwene will see Rand for who he really is. Back in Egwene's nightmare, we see Rhenna is actually Lanfear. She continues choking Egwene. Suddenly, Egwene finds herself in the Ale Waste where she meets Bear, who tells her she shouldn't be there. Egwene wakes up. Rand comforts her, reminding her she endured so much trauma while with the Siuan. Later, Mat and Min reunite. I love their banter together. Min laughs as Mat listens to Galad and Gawain have sex with his lady friends. It's torture for him. Min reveals that Siuan wants to meet Mat and to bring the Horn of Valere with him. At the same time, Elayne tries on her mother's crown. Gabriel enters, complimenting her new look. He discloses the situation in Caemlyn. It's not good. The line of succession to the Lion Throne is under threat. Next, Mat boasts about blowing the horn to the Amyrlin seat. Initially, Siuan humors him. However, she reveals that once he dies, the horn passes to someone else. So, proclaiming loudly about blowing it to everyone within earshot and getting his portrait painted with it might not be wise. Someone might try to kill him for it. Siuan takes the Horn of Valere off Mat's hands before regaling him with a tale about her heroic uncle. Will Mat be a hero? Mat doesn't view himself as one. Meanwhile, Elayne tells Morgase she plans to stay in the White Tower. She insists her devotion is to the Lion Throne, but she wants to earn it like Morgase did. Plus, she can fortify the alliance between Andor and the White Tower. Morgase honors her daughter's wishes. Elsewhere, Moiraine urges Rand to channel. He must do this as the Dragon Reborn. Rand explains that channeling is simultaneously sweet and poisonous to him in a terrific monologue. We see weaves encircle his forearm, both black and fiery gold in color. Later, Siuan wishes Morgus safe travels as the latter returns home. Morgus informs our mother that Elaine's brothers will remain at the tower to begin their warder training. Elida will also stay. Siuan remarks that an Aes Sedai advisor has been in Andor for 1,000 years. Morgus insists that the tower needs all the strength it can muster. And who is stronger than the woman who almost bested Siuan for the Amyrlin seat? Next, our traveling crew finally reaches the Aiel Waste. However, they run into trouble. Aviendha demands to know who told the Aiel of their arrival. Suddenly, they're beset by an Aiel clan, including Bear and Ruark, the clan chief of the Tardad Aiel. Egwene recognizes Bear from her dream. Third episode opens with Lanfear meeting with Gabriel, aka Ravin, and Samel. Yes, Gabriel is a Forsaken. He infiltrated Queen Morgus's court and implanted false memories about his being Morgus's prince consort for a decade. Lanfear gets down to brass tacks. Moghedien is a rising threat. She's creating gray men, for starters. Lanfear proposes the other Forsaken unite to take her out. She adds that Moghedien is a coward and should be easy to target. Samael is unsure of this, questioning why Lanfear hasn't been deemed Naeblis if she has the Dark One's ear. Ravin declares he'll take this discussion to the other Forsaken, who are offended that Lanfear didn't invite them to this reunion. Samael and Ravin poke fun at Lanfear for her carrying a torch for Rand and Lews Therin before that. After Lanfear and Samael depart, Moghedien emerges from the shadows. She hangs on Lanfear, calling her a coward. She's in cahoots with Ravin. Later, Perrin asks Nynaeve and Elayne to interrogate Joya and Amiko, the two Black Aja who tried to kill Siuan in the premiere. Elayne admits that while an Aes Sedai cannot lie, she and Nynaeve, who are just accepted, can. Nynaeve and Elayne tell Joya that if she doesn't cooperate, they'll kill her. They want Joya and Amiko to reveal the other names of the Black Aja members in the White Tower. Amiko admits that no one knows much outside the purview of their heart. A heart is a collection of 3 Black Aja sisters. A member of a heart is only aware of one other Black Aja outside said heart. Liandrin was Amiko's contact. Amiko confesses that Liandrin is going to Tyr to retrieve Kalendor for a Forsaken. However, Joya has a different story. She claims Liandrin is searching for Mazrim Taim, the false dragon, in Saldea. Meanwhile, Elaida sits at her vanity in her chambers. She notices the very visible shaking in her hand. Elaida knocks items off her vanity before calling for her maid. Min appears, volunteering to help Elaida dress for the day. Elsewhere, Nynaeve and Elayne are aware that Joya and Amiko lied to them. So, where is Liandrin? Nynaeve shows Elayne where Liandrin kept her infirm son, although the room is now empty. They discover a peculiar symbol painted on the floorboards beneath the bed. Next, Elaida asks Lian and Perrin for a private audience with the Emerlin seat. They deny her request, citing that only sitters can do such a thing. Elaida would need to bring a sitter from her Aja to make this request on her behalf. So, Elaida visits Sutama, the highest of the Red Aja. She brings gifts for her and Galena. Sutama sees through Elaida's posturing and asks why she's really there. Elaida believes the Red Aja deserves to rise through the ranks once more. They should be on top. She proposes they cast a vote regarding their next move, which should be to cage Rand al'Thor, the Dragon Reborn. Sutama reveals they have better things to do, like re-earn the trust of their sisters. Elaida doesn't like that answer. Meanwhile, Rand, Egwene, Moiraine, Lan, and Avienda fall in with the Tardad clan. Rand asks how Ruark and his people found them, but Ruark explains that that's Wise One's business. Moiraine asks about the Wise Ones. However, Ruark provides the same response. Egwene points out Bear as the woman from her dream. Bear corrects her. Egwene was in her dream. Suddenly, the group stumbles upon a gory scene. It looks like Tuatha'an and Ruark suspects that the Shido clan is behind it. If this is the case, they must get to Ruidian ASAP for Rand's test. In the Two Rivers, Perrin buries his broken wedding ring in Lila's grave. Alanna observes him. They trade stories about how they respectively mourn those they lose. Alanna wears Yvonne's ashes on her face, while Perrin reveals that trees grow in the graves of the dead. It's a beautiful scene. Meanwhile, Bane and Chiad try to get Loyal to play Maiden's Kiss. He looked horrified by it in Tarvalon, so he's going to pass on it. Then they try to get Maxim to participate, but he denies them too. It's not his first time, though. However, he's mourning the only man he ever loved, Yvonne. Perrin and Alanna return with news of an unknown group's impending arrival. Alanna urges everyone to head upstairs for safety. When the group enters the inn, they inform Meryn about White Cloaks arresting Mat's mother, Natty, and his sisters, Bodhi and Eldrin. Why? Because Natty's husband helped Perrin's family escape. Lord Luck, the leader of the group, and Fael, Isabella Bacheri, the sort of second in command, meet Perrin. Luck and his crew are hunting for the Horn of Valere. Elsewhere, Eamon Valda asks Dane to let him question the Cothans. He'll undoubtedly make them disclose where Natty's husband took Perrin's family. Dane rejects this, claiming there are other ways to bring Perrin to them. We see Natty, Bode, and Eldrin in a cage. Dane reveals he sent reinforcements to deal with the growing Trollocs problem, but if Perrin doesn't arrive before then, the Cothans will be at Eamon's whim. Then, Min visits Mat in the latter's quarters. Mat is still furious with Min. Min reveals Ishamael was going to take away her visions. Freedom was within her grasp. However, she chose Mat instead. Elsewhere, Nynaeve and Elayne research the symbol they found. It's not one symbol, it's two. One painted where one died, and the other where they were born. It hails from Tanchico. Elayne muses that Liandrin is from Tanchico. She adds that Joya and Amiko didn't mention the powerful items Naomi stole, the ones Perrin was cataloging. Nynaeve discovers sketches of the cuffs and collar the Seanchan used to control Domain. However, these look older. Elayne notes the proximity between Falme and Tanchico. The latter is where the Seanchan hailed from centuries ago. Nynaeve believes Liandrin is in Tanchico searching for the matching collar since Naomi took the cuffs. Suddenly, a stranger fires an arrow at Nynaeve and Elayne. Nynaeve knocks Elayne down to protect her. Elayne channels a weave in the stranger's direction before the latter flees. However, the stranger is actually dead in the corridor, and he was a gray man. Moiraine is behind this. Perrin stumbles upon the scene. After Elayne and Nynaeve excuse themselves, Nynaeve persuades Elayne to leave with her for Tanchico that night. It'll be safer than the tower. Meanwhile, in Tanchico, Liandrin, Naomi, and the other Black Aja members crash a wedding ceremony. It's between the great-grandson of Liandrin's husband and a very young girl. The Black Aja kills everyone there after Liandrin rips out the groom's heart. They leave the bride alive. Liandrin asks Naomi to erase the girl's memories to protect her. Liandrin was in this situation as a child, so she feels for the girl. Later, Elayne reveals she knows Min is a seer. Elayne is also a seer. However, her foretellings are less frequent than Min's visions. Years ago, Elayne had a vision that Andor would play a crucial role in the last battle. Instead of sitting on her hands, though, Elayne helped Morghast win her crown and end the succession war for the Lion Throne. Min points out Elayne's bracelet, asking if it's a foretelling. Of a sort, Elayne replies. She adds that she knows Perrin and Leane placed Min in her room as a spy. Elayne asks if this discussion can stay between them, which Min vows to uphold. Elayne reveals the highest of the Red Aja will call for a vote in the Hall of the Sitters. According to Elayne, Siuan will lose, and the Red Aja will refocus the tower on its original mission, to cage the Dragon Reborn. Elsewhere, Bear tells Egwene that it's been a long time since the White Tower produced a Dreamwalker. Bear notes that she and Moiraine are the only Dreamwalkers among the Wise Ones. She also points out Egwene's bruising. Egwene mentions what Moiraine told her about injuries inflicted in dreams following her to the waking world. Bear asks about the assailant Rena, but Egwene responds that she's dead. If she can hurt you, then this woman in your dream is alive, Bear says. Uh-oh. Bear vows to teach Egwene what she knows after they arrive in Ruidian. Meanwhile, Rand tells Lanfear to stop bringing him to the inn in Caerhien, where they had sex when she was pretending to be Selene. Lanfear admits that Rand was right to steer clear of Tyr and Callandor. That said, she reveals there's a way to escape her dark oaths if the Dark One is killed. There's a sangreal as strong as Callandor, the Sakarnan. If they use it with Callandor, perhaps it could kill the Dark One. However, upon Rand rejecting her advances, Lanfear regrets telling him this. She vanishes. Next, Lan and Moiraine join Bear and Moiraine for a nice steamy spa night. The Aiel duo explains that Ruidian is where men go to become clan chiefs and women to become wise ones. If Rand is the Karakarn, he too will venture into Ruidian. Moiraine asks what'll happen to Rand if he becomes the Karakarn, but Bear and Moiraine remain tight-lipped. After this, Lan points out Melindra, a woman who seems interested in Moiraine. He encourages Moiraine to have some fun with Melindra. "Do you think a night with her would make me happy?" Moiraine asks. Lan doesn't see why it would hurt. However, Melindra wants to chat with Lan. He spies a familiar tattoo on her back. Lan asks who she is, remarking that Aiel don't have tattoos, let alone the golden crane of Malkyr. Melindra reveals she was only a girl when the Blight took Malkyr. She escaped, and then a wise one took her in. She admits she would break her spears and follow Lan if it meant restoring Malkyr to its former glory. Lan reminds her that Malkyr is gone. Melindra insists that as long as they're around, Malkyr lives. That night, Meryn defends Perrin's return to the villagers. The Two Rivers defends its own. It always has and always will. Alanna finds Maxim upstairs in the inn. Maxim asks Alanna to turn off their bond. She reminds him that there are Trollocs and Whitecloaks everywhere, danger lurking around every corner. He's upset that Alanna inexplicably feels nothing for Avon's murder. Alanna insists she's trying to protect herself because Maxim is drowning in his grief. Downstairs, Fael and Perrin chat for a spell. She claims she came here looking for the horn, which garners a chuckle from Perrin, but he doesn't tell her the truth. They flirt a bit. Loyal sits across from Perrin. Perrin reveals he plans to rescue Natty and Matt's sisters. He promised Matt he would protect them. Meanwhile, Min has a vision of Matt swinging from a noose before a red doorway. She doesn't disclose this to him, though. Matt sees the panic on Min's face and tries to pacify her, but she flees. Galad steps in, thinking Matt is harming Min. Matt tells him off. Elayne visits the Red Aja quarters. She tells Tsutama that Siuan wants our highest to send 7 of her best sisters to track down Mazrim Time, who still evades them. Elayne remarks that the highest cannot leave the tower now. Elayne urges Tsutama to meet with Siuan to discuss the plan. The tracking party will depart that night. Elayne asks Galena who will replace Tsutama as the highest while she's gone. Saldea is on the other side of the world, after all. Galena agrees with Elayne. The Red Aja needs a new sitter. Then, Perrin gives a rousing speech about the village sticking together to ward off the threats posed by the Trollocs and White Cloaks. He's becoming quite the leader. At the same time, Galad and Gawain tease Matt while the latter practices with a quarterstaff. Nynaeve arrives to bid farewell as she and Elayne are departing for Tanchico. Matt invites himself along, believing Nynaeve can help his mind issues. Galad misinterprets an interaction between Matt and Nynaeve, assuming Matt is bothering her. Matt challenges the royal brothers, armed only with his quarterstaff. 2 marks each says he can best them. Sure enough, Matt channels the strength he acquired from blowing the horn of Valere to beat their asses with a stick. Damn. After this, File and Perrin chat about his leadership while he works in the forge. Once a blacksmith, always a blacksmith. Elsewhere, Min watches from afar as Nynaeve, Matt, and Elayne sneak out of the tower to their ship. She follows them. Next, Liandrin paints the Tanchico symbol on the floor, reciting, "From where you died to where you were born." We see flashbacks to a young Liandrin cradling her son in that room. Liandrin returns to the others, where Naomi researches the cuff from the White Tower. Liandrin remarks that the cuffs and collar are used to control a man. Somewhere in Tanchico is the matching collar. Liandrin wants to collar the Dragon Reborn. We see Moghedien among the Black Aja sisters, working undercover as a servant. 4th episode begins with Lan engaging Rand in sword training in the Threefold Land. Moiraine observes from afar. Egwene tells Moiraine about a popular saying in the 2 rivers, "A watched pot never boils." Later, Moiraine and Egwene sit with the Wise Ones, Bear and Melaine. Moiraine asks the Wise Ones how they knew our heroes were coming. Bear admits it's easier for them to see what's already happening or beginning to happen than what will occur. Melaine adds they didn't see Egwene, though. Bear reveals that since Rand is here, if he survives Ruidian, some of the Ale will also live. "If you had not come, you would have died," Melaine tells Moiraine. Melaine also begins to say that if Moiraine doesn't go through Ruidian, she will die, but she stops herself. Moiraine isn't supposed to know this. Outside, but still in the camp, Aviendha scolds Rand for handling a sword, especially this close to Ruidian. Rand reminds her that Aiel don't touch swords. So, is he Aiel or not? Aviendha knocks down Rand, her spear hovering near his throat. Then, she sets her sights on Lan. Her warning includes him. What transpires next is a fun fight sequence of Aviendha versus Lan, culminating with Lan snagging one of her spears. However, Bear puts a stop to the friendly fire. She and Melaine remind Aviendha that she's destined to be a wise one, not a maiden of the spear. Bear admits she, too, resisted her fate initially, but she came around to it. Bear takes Aviendha's spears and breaks them. Then Aviendha strips off her warrior look. She asks for permission to enter Ruidian, which Bear and Melaine grant. Aviendha leaves. After this, Moiraine asks Rand if he plans to venture into Ruidian. The conversation pivots to Moiraine's intentions. Rand doesn't trust her and believes she's only in this for herself. Moiraine insists she's dedicated her life to protecting him. She won't sit idly by while he puts his head on the chopping block. The following day, Rand asks Ruark if he's entered Ruidian. All clan chiefs and wise ones must pass the test. He shows Rand his sick dragon tattoo. While clan chiefs who emerge from the city in the clouds get 1 tattoo, the Kara Karn will boast 2. Our crew arrives on the edge of Ruidian before they encounter the Shido. Savannah, a wise one, interacts with Bear and Ruark. Then, both clans gather under a tent to discuss why they're near Ruidian. Savannah reveals she married her late husband's son, who is now in Ruidian. Couladin declares that if his brother fails, he'll go in next. Bear reminds Couladin that he must ask the question first, though. Rand steps forward, asking Bear and Elayne for permission to enter Ruidian. They grant it much to Couladin's anger, who only sees Rand as a wetlander. Couladin lunges at Rand, but Ruark and Bear stop him. Moiraine also asks to venture into Ruidian and receives approval. Egwene tries to accompany Rand, but the Wise Ones remind her that her path differs from our Dragon Reborn. Bear and Elayne prepare our duo for their trial. Moiraine will enter 3 rings, which will show her thousands of different futures. Rand, on the other hand, will move through the glass columns, walking in the footsteps of his ancestors. Each step forward is a step back in time. Outside the city, the Wise Ones ask Rand and Moiraine to remove their weapons. Once in the city proper, Moiraine notes the towering statues don't seem to be of Ale origin. She also observes the dry fog, remarking that she can occasionally see threads of the One Power before they vanish. After this, Rand and Moiraine encounter the Tree of Life, or Avendasora. It's believed to be almost 3,000 years old. Moiraine explains that the Ale entrusted a sapling to Caerhien hundreds of years ago. Unfortunately, her uncle Laman cut down the tree to construct his throne. This led to the Aale War. The Aale came over the spine to kill Laman for breaking his oath to protect the Avendasora. They finally tracked him down on the slopes of Dragonmount, where Rand's mother gave birth. Rand realizes he and Moiraine have been connected since before he was born. He admits she shouldn't have tagged along with him into Ruidian. Then, our pair go their separate ways. Moiraine ventures off in search of the rings, while Rand commences his journey through the glass columns. There he spies Muradin, Savannah's husband. He's not doing so hot. As Rand moves through the glass columns, a gust of wind nearly knocks him over. Then, Rand's hurtled back in time. We see his Aiel father, Janduin, on Dragonmount during the Aale War. He gets stabby-stabby with his spear as he takes out his enemies. Unfortunately, he discovers Rand's mother is dead. He tells the Shade of his Heart that he killed Lamon before he learns from another warrior that baby Rand is missing. Uh-oh. Then, Rand forges ahead in the glass columns. This time, he ventures further into the past. We see his ancestor, a clan chief, preparing to enter Ruidian. Once inside, he and the other clan chiefs meet an older Aes Sedai, Latra, who pulls what looks like a glowing orb, the Sakarnin, from the Avendasora. She explains that the last true Ael are all dead now, the people who built this city and planted this tree. She adds that there's too much these men don't know. Basically, it's time to peruse what Ancestry.com has to offer and learn about their ancestors. Whoever cannot learn will not live. Latra also reveals that the one who will lead the Ael will come later, of the blood, but not raised of the blood. Then Latra uses the Sakarnin to create the glass columns. She urges the clan chiefs to walk in the footsteps of their ancestors and learn why the Aes Sedai call the Ael Oathbreakers. After this, Rand takes another step forward, hurling himself further into the past. We see a young man who looks an awful lot like Rand, Luwin. Luwin and his friends, Alia and Charlin, marvel at the Avendasora sapling. We learn that Luwin and the Ael are there to build a city in the desert. Luwin's mother tells him that a group of bandits kidnapped his and Alicia's sisters. Older Aidan refuses to let the boys save the girls. Luwin won't accept that, though. He and his friends break into the bandits' camp that night to retrieve the girls. Unfortunately, Luwin and his pals resort to violence, killing the bandits. Charlin takes a blade to the stomach and dies. As these Aiel follow the way of the leaf, murder is a huge no-no. Luwin and Aliha return the following morning, carrying Charlin's body, with their sisters in tow. Luwin's mother and older Adan know what this means. Luwin and Aliha are no longer Aiel. Luwin's mother tearfully claims she doesn't recognize him, ordering him to turn away from her. Aliha wonders what they'll do now. Luwin claims they'll protect their clan. They'll do what their loved ones cannot do. Meanwhile in Ruidian, Moiraine senses a powerful presence. She stands before the Avendasora and channels, which removes the vines concealing the Sakarnin. She pockets it. Next, Moiraine stumbles upon the 3 rings. She spies Avienda, who's levitating and slowly spinning in the air inside one of the rings. Avienda is screaming. It doesn't look like fun. Moiraine steps inside the ring opposite her and is thrust into the air, slowly spinning as countless futures unfold before her at breakneck speed. In one future, Moiraine sits on the floor of Siuan's childhood fishing hut. In another future, Moiraine, now the Amyrlin's seat, looms above Rand in the hall of the White Tower. Moiraine kills him. Then in another, Moiraine releases Lan from their bond. In yet another, Moiraine and Rand bond together as the latter becomes her warder. Lan is on fire, and Moiraine puts it out. Moiraine, as the Amyrlin's seat, cradles Rand in her arms in the ale waste as he dies. In another future, Moiraine, still the Amyrlin's seat, kills Rand in the waste with Lan by her side. Next, in a different future, Moiraine swears herself to the Dragon Reborn in what looks like Emond's field. Meanwhile, in the glass columns, Muradin screams in agony as Rand moves past him. Further into the past, Janduin searches for his grandson Aedan among the mayhem and burning wreckage from an attack by bandits. Janduin is the clan chief. Sulwen claims they can't continue like this. Janduin addresses her in the old tongue, claiming they bury their dead and move on. When Aedan is older, he says this to Luwin. Janduin reassures Sulwen that the others will come. They'll meet them across the spine. His daughter dreamt it. Sulwen declares the rest of the clan is going south. Aedan refuses to leave his grandfather's side. After the others depart, Aedan helps Janduin bury the dead. Janduin reveals that Aedan's mother dreamed of a city in the desert, a haven for the Ael. We see the sapling in Janduin's wagon, which Aedan will oversee when he's older. Aedan asks how they'll get across the spine. Janduin begins pulling the wagon. Together, he responds. As Rand moves through the glass columns, we see another of his ancestors, this time from before the breaking of the world. Rand's ancestor meets a young Latra and Celinda. He informs Latra in the old tongue that every wagon has a tree, cuttings from the Cora, and a pot. These are for the Aiel. Before he leaves, Latra gives Rand's ancestor the Sakarnan. Celinda protests this, reminding Latra that it's too precious. Latra explains to the man what the Sakarnan is and its male component, Kalendor. He vows to care for what she's given into their charge until the Aes Sedai want it again. Latra encourages him and his people to continue moving until they find a place of safety and peace. Then, Latra addresses the other Aiel behind Rand's ancestor, urging them to keep these oaths and uphold the way of the leaf. After this, he places the Sakarnan in a sapling inside his wagon. His partner, Comran, asks if he's afraid. All will be well, Rand's ancestor chants, almost more so to soothe his nerves, and all manner of things will be well. If you recall, we heard older Aedan say this to Luwin's mother in the other flashback. Now it gets increasingly more difficult for Rand to trudge through the glass columns. Muradin screams behind him, blood pouring from his eyes. Another step sends Rand into the past. This time, he's an Ael man watching Ael servants work in the field as they sing in the old tongue. He's in a massive globe that hangs in the sky. Muireann Sedai, aka Lanfear, remarks that it's a beautiful song. Rand's ancestor reveals his family is from here. They still farm these fields. Muireann encourages him to visit them. He insists he can do it tomorrow. Today is too important to Muireann. We learn Muireann discovered the thinnest part of the pattern. She hopes to find what's on the other side. Muireann adds that true power awaits them, which can be wielded by men or women. Anyone, anywhere, can have access to this power. After their chat, Rand's ancestor joins the other servants in the field. Suddenly, a crackle whips through the air as a hole appears in the floating globe. It malfunctions and crashes to the ground, sending the Ael servants scrambling for safety. Rand's ancestor stays to watch, in shock. Cracks form in the sky above. Is this Muireann tearing open the Dark One's prison? Later, Rand relives all these lives, sees his ancestors as they were, before collapsing outside the glass columns. He made it. The dragon tattoos materialize on both his forearms. Once he wakes up, he finds Aviendha unconscious on the ground. After she stirs, she instantly clocks his new ink. He's officially the Karakarn. He asks about Moiraine. Aviendha responds that she's still inside the rings. Aviendha returns to the tents, but Rand refuses to leave without Moiraine. Meanwhile, Moiraine continues to see various unsettling futures. In one, Lanfear, with our other heroes as Forsaken, corner Moiraine in the ways. Lanfear slits her throat. Then in another, Moiraine and Rand get it on in bed. After this, Moiraine and Lanfear are intimate until the latter chokes her. In yet another future, Lanfear kills Moiraine in the White Tower. Then, Lanfear slices Moiraine's throat in the streets of Tarvalon. Lanfear also kills Moiraine in myriad ways in the Ale Waste. Elsewhere, Lan and Egwene wait outside for Moiraine and Rand to return from Ruidian. We learn they've been gone for a week, but Aviendha returned 2 days prior. Egwene proposes they go in after them, but Lan reminds her that Rand and Moiraine wanted them to stay. Finally, Rand carries an unconscious Moiraine from their sojourn in the city in the clouds. They both desperately need moisturizer. Lan takes Moiraine into his arms after she regains consciousness. Rand and Egwene embrace. We open with Moiraine wielding Sakarnan. She puts on quite the light show. After a spell, she collapses in Lan's arms, simultaneously drained and euphoric. Even Lan describes the sensation as euphoric, but it also elicits a deep hunger and thirst. Lan wants to know what Moiraine saw in the rings in Ruidian. She doesn't respond. Later, Rand, Egwene, Moiraine, Lan, Bear, Melaine, Aviendha, and Ruark are on the move. Egwene asks Bear and Melaine if the other clan chiefs will declare Rand as the Kara Karn. Bear reveals they only communicate with the clan's wise ones in the dream. However, they'll urge their chiefs to meet Rand at Alcair Dal. Unfortunately, Savannah and Couladin of the Shaido rejected Rand as the Kara Karn. Aviendha remarks that their rejection is unsurprising, though. She still doesn't see Rand as one of the Ail. Bear orders her to stay with Rand 24/7 to teach him their ways. It's part of her training to become a wise one. Then, the crew arrives at Cold Rock's Hold, the seat of the Tardad clan. In the village, they meet Ruark's other wife, Lian. They also meet Ruark's great-daughter, Alcera. Alcera approaches Rand and asks him point-blank if he's the Kara Karn. Rand shows her his sick dragon tattoos. Then, he plays with Alcera and the other clan kids. Bear urges Egwene to join her and Melaine as they walk the dream. Then, in the White Tower, Siuan reads a letter and smiles. She sniffs it. Is this an old letter from Moiraine? I think so. Elayne marches into Siuan's quarters. She ridicules the styling of it. I didn't know Elayne was moonlighting as an interior designer. Elayne finally stops beating around the bush to reveal why she's there. She's calling for a vote in the hall to cage the Dragon Reborn. Siuan smoothly fires back that Elayne surely has a better handle on hall proceedings now than the last time the two duked it out there. Someone get Elayne some aloe vera for that burn. Meanwhile, Verin gives her sister, Adelius, tea. Siuan and Elayne pay them a visit. Verin relays intel about the Black Aja. They run in groups of 3, called hearts. Each member harbors one separate contact in another heart to prevent them from revealing them all. However, Liandrin was connected to 4 hearts. That means there are at least 12 members, and since 11 attacked the White Tower that fateful day, that means at least one unknown member remains. Next, Siuan reveals she wants to know if Elayne is of the Black Aja. The trio decides to lure her to the 13th depository, where Joya and Amiko are being held. In Emond's field, Alanna and Maxim adjust to their new surroundings. Maxim tries to persuade Alanna to venture off to greener pastures. Why are they in the 2 rivers to begin with? File, Bane, and Chiad return from scouring the surrounding area to reveal where Natty Cawthon and her daughters are. She tells Perrin that they should rescue them from the White Cloaks that night. Meanwhile, in Cold Rock's Hold, our visitors enjoy Aiel cuisine. Melindra feeds Lan a delicacy that literally bites your throat upon swallowing. Lovely. Aviendha tries to school Rand on Aiel's social interactions. As for Egwene, she joins the Wise Ones for her first sojourn into Tel'aran'rhiod. Bear informs her that anyone can touch Tel'aran'rhiod, but few can enter it. Channelers and non-channelers alike can possess the skill of dreamwalking. Also, death in the dream means death on the physical plane. Melaine reveals that Egwene will know it's time to return when the brass pin drops. Once in Tel'aran'rhiod, Melaine and Bear tell Egwene that she must control her thoughts. Suddenly, armor materializes on Egwene's body because she feels unsafe. Egwene seizes hold of her thoughts to restore her clothing. Bear adds that the woman who stalks Egwene's dreams can be expelled from them. If Egwene believes the woman doesn't belong there, well, she doesn't belong there. Then, Egwene winds up in a marketplace that resembles Tar Valon. However, she's not alone. Lanfear appears. She lifts Egwene in the air by the throat. Thankfully, Egwene returns to the physical plane where Bear and Moiraine await her. They realize she's being stalked by a Forsaken, or as the Ale call them, the Shadow-Souled. Later, Elayne tries to enlist Alviren as an ally. Alviren normally supports Siuan's decisions, but that's because Siuan has exercised logic. The White Aja is all about the truth. Elayne wonders where the White Aja would fall if she could prove the Amyrlin seat has made detrimental choices. After this, Elayne reunites with Adelius, who's being escorted by an Accepted. Elayne urges the Accepted to get lost. Next, Elayne learns from Adelius about the sisters being held captive in the 13th Depository. The Accepted informs Liandrin and Perrin that Elayne took the bait. Meanwhile, Nynaeve doesn't take too kindly to the sea. She vomits in a bucket while Elayne gives her and Mat a history lesson. They've been locked in a room on this ship for 2 weeks while en route to Tanchico. Mat proposes they go above deck. However, Elayne reminds him that part of the deal she struck with the sailmistress on this seafolk raker was that they must remain below deck. Mat ignores her, forging ahead anyway. Elayne and the seasick Nynaeve are hot on his heels. Coin din Jubai wild winds. The sailmistress approaches them. Elayne apologizes for breaking their deal. Coin makes a beeline for Nynaeve, noticing the latter vomiting over the side. She advises Nynaeve on how to alleviate the nausea. Coin allows our trio to stay above deck. Mat spies Min, who tailed them out of Tar Valon. He begs her to let him sleep in her quarters. He's beyond annoyed with Elayne and Nynaeve. Min reluctantly takes him in. Later, in the Two Rivers, Emond asks Dane to let him question Natty Cawthon and her daughters, Bode and Eldrin. Dane rejects him again. He approaches the Cawthons, who are still trapped in a cage. He gives them water and promises the White Cloaks won't hurt them. Then Dane inquires about Perrin's whereabouts. The girls claim they haven't seen him in years. Natty surreptitiously reaches for the key to their cage while Dane is distracted. Unfortunately, he catches her, grabbing her wrist. Suddenly, one of the girls channels out of anger, sending Dane flying backward. Natty shields her daughters, claiming she was the one who channeled. Dane calls her a witch. He flings her before Emond, telling him to have at it. Outside the White Cloaks' camp, Perrin reveals he, Bane, and Chiad will infiltrate said camp to rescue the Cawthons. Fael demands Perrin to let her tag along. Loyal will stay with the horses. Since it's a clear night, Alanna offers to channel to create cloud cover. Maxim objects to this, citing that the White Cloaks will sniff out a channeler a mile away. However, Alanna's made up her mind. After this, Maxim demands to know why they're in the Two Rivers. Alanna claims it's because he's not enough. She's now down a warder. Alanna wants to raise an army, noting that Egwene, Nynaeve, Rand, Perrin, and Mat are all from here and are extraordinary. The last battle is inevitable. Maxim believes they should track down Liandrin and kill her to avenge Ivan. Alanna turns off their bond, so he's free to leave. Elsewhere, Lan regrets not knowing much about his fallen home, Malkyr. Melindra reminds him that he was just a baby when it fell. He asks her questions about Malkyr and what she misses about it. She smiles, revealing she longs for laughter. At the same time, Rand watches as Egwene packs her belongings. The Wise Ones want her to sleep with them from now on. Rand encourages her to go. They share a kiss before she departs. Next, Lan joins Moiraine around a fire. She finally discloses what she saw in Ruidian. Thousands of futures. If Moiraine lived, Rand died. If Rand died, she lived. Regardless, Moiraine knows Rand must survive to fulfill his destiny, meaning she won't live to see the last battle. Lan embraces her. He encourages her to have a drink with him. They try ale usquai, which, judging by their expressions and subsequent laughter, is quite strong. Then, on the ship bound for Tanchico, Mat spies Min's sketch of her vision of him. He's hanging from a noose before a doorway with a red frame. That's why she's following him. She hopes to prevent her vision from coming to fruition. Mat reminds her that her visions aren't always accurate. After all, he was supposed to kill Rand, and he didn't. He brushes this off. Elayne and Nynaeve return above deck to watch something spectacular. One of the seafolk channels on the bow. It looks like she's conducting as multicolored light swirls around her. Coin explains that there are many ways to be a channeler, as there are many ways to be a woman. She notes that Nynaeve struggles to touch the source. She reveals that between Elayne and Nynaeve, one fights to hold where she stands, while the other wants the sea to take her off her chosen path. Below deck, Mat introduces Min to Nynaeve and Elayne. Nynaeve recognizes her from Faldara, while Elayne knows Min from the White Tower. Min offers to help them navigate Tanchico. Plus, she knows Liandrin well. Mat reassures Nynaeve and Elayne that they can trust Min. After this, our crew finally arrives in Tanchico. Min advises them to avert their gaze. Eye contact is a big no-no. Don't flash their money around, and don't talk. It's especially imperative that Elayne isn't outed as the royalty she is. Later, Aleida visits Joya and Amiko in the 13th Depository. Aleida demands to know the names of every sister in the Black Aja. Amiko refuses to comply, so Aleida kills her. Then, she uses weaves to restrain Joya and pull on her limbs. Aleida threatens to kill her if she doesn't disclose the name she knows. Just when Joya is about to divulge that name, a gray man murders her. The gray man stabs Aleida multiple times before Siuan and Lian step in. They kill the gray man. Next, Siuan heals Aleida's wounds. She apologizes for believing Aleida is of the Black Aja. Aleida realizes Siuan set her up. Elsewhere, Perrin, Chiad, and Bane rescue Mat's sisters. Before this, Perrin and Fael stumble upon Natty Cawthon's charred corpse. Emond killed her. The Ale whisk the girls away while Perrin squares off against Dane, and Fael fights two other White Cloaks. Perrin gets a stab to the gut, while Dane certainly doesn't walk away unscathed. Meanwhile, the White Cloaks launch several arrows at Alanna, while she channels to create cloud cover. Maxim returns to her rescue, taking out said White Cloaks before getting an arrow to the shoulder. He cradles the wounded Alanna in his arms. Apparently, she turned their bond back on hours ago. Later, Lanfear finds Rand in his dreams. He claims he misses Celine, the inn owner from Caerhien. Lanfear claims there's part of her that still wants to help people. She also admits she still loves Rand. They kiss. Elsewhere, Moiraine asks Egwene if she can transport her to a specific location in the dream. She must deliver a message to someone. Egwene agrees to help her, so we see Moiraine travel to Siuan's childhood fishing hut in Tyr. Moiraine urges Siuan to get the White Tower to rally behind Rand. If they don't support him, he'll lose the last battle. She can't pull the same stunt she did in Caerhien. Siuan believes Moiraine should have been the Amyrlin's seat. Moiraine remarks that she makes too many enemies. Next, Siuan wishes they would have run away from the tower that day instead of going to Guittara's study. She leans in to kiss Moiraine. However, Moiraine pulls away, claiming they broke what they had. It can't be mended in this life. Siuan vows to find her in the next life. They'll try again and again until they get it right. Meanwhile, Egwene pops into her friend's dreams. She sees Nynaeve with her and Lan's daughter. Elayne is on the sea folks' ship with Avienda. Mat embraces his sisters before they start as novices at the White Tower. His mother tells him she's proud of him. Perrin works the forge in Emond's field with his wolf and Fael by his side. Finally, Egwene visits Rand in his dream. She smiles until she sees Lanfear kissing him. Egwene and Lanfear lock eyes. She realizes that Lanfear is the Forsaken stalking her dreams, and the latter is making out with her boyfriend. 6th episode begins on Tanchico, 95 years ago. Young Liandrin tries to placate her crying infant son. Borel Lunalt barges into Liandrin's dingy cell, demanding his lackey to drown the baby. In a fit of rage, Liandrin channels, killing both Borel and said lackey. Then, she wanders through the city with her son in her arms, begging passersby to help her. She eventually resigns to sitting underneath a weather-worn statue. That's when Ishamael approaches Liandrin. He offers assistance. Later, adult Liandrin sits on the Amyrlin seat in her dreams. Lanfear materializes. Liandrin insists that while she was loyal to Ishamael before his death, she's sworn to Lanfear now. Lanfear urges her to weed out the Black Aja sisters who are secretly Team Ravin and kill them. After this, Liandrin assembles her cabal: Naomi, Chesmal, Ispan, and Jean. Moghedien eavesdrops on their conversation. Liandrin shows them the statue that stands in Tanchico in its former glory. It's a man who can channel with a collar around his neck. Two Aes Sedai flank him, each boasting a bracelet like the Sul'dams. Now, the Black Aja already has one bracelet. They need its companion and the matching collar to restrain the Dragon Reborn. Liandrin gives her crew until the following day to accomplish this. Elsewhere in Tanchico, Nynaeve and Elayne dress the part as denizens of the city. Mat and Min burst out laughing upon seeing Nynaeve's veil. Mat gives her a more appropriate face covering. After this, our gang infiltrates the city in search of Liandrin's Black Aja sisters. Meanwhile, Egwene gets a scolding from Bear and Moiraine for entering Tel'aran'rhiod by herself. Egwene insists she must know how to fight Lanfear. Bear fires back that Egwene is no match for a Forsaken in Tel'aran'rhiod. However, Egwene's power is most potent in her own dreams. Moiraine reunites with Lanfear in her dreams. Lanfear senses that Moiraine has been avoiding her. She orders Moiraine to ensure Egwene steers clear of Rand. That's part of their deal. Oh, and Lanfear has a surprise in store for Rand. How ominous. Speaking of Rand, we see the Karakarn bond with the AL as Avienda looks on. Rand makes the mistake of touching Alcera's spear. She's training to become a Maiden of the Spear. As punishment, Rand must tend to her vegetables to ensure their growth. Punishment fits the crime. In Emond's field, Phyla helps Perrin inside the inn. She asks for Alanna to heal his wounds. However, we see that Alanna is in no shape to heal anyone. Moxim sits by her side. Off in the distance, Podden Fane and a handful of Trollocs set their sights on the village. Then Mat asks the locals about the missing collar and bracelet, while Elayne gets feisty with a veiled man. Mat hears a familiar sound wafting in the air and follows it to find none other than Tom Merrilin. He's serenading a heavily trafficked alley full of merchants. Tom is in no mood for Mat's antics. Remember when he and Rand left Tom to fend off a Fade? Mat promises to make it up to Tom by offering to pay for drinks. And he'll never guess who blew the horn of Valere. Meanwhile, Nynaeve and Min bond in the pub. Well, Min calls Nynaeve out for having a resting bitch face. Then, Min flags down a handsome lad and tells him his future. He's going to marry that pretty brunette he met, Jane. She adds that her telling his fortune is free, but she encourages the man to bring his friends over. After he leaves, Nynaeve wonders if Jane is really going to tie the knot. Min discloses that Jane will kill him. Ouch. Next, Liandrin informs Naomi that the latter did great work on removing the memories from that young girl. Liandrin asks Naomi if she could weave something more precise. Naomi reveals that only the Forsaken themselves could do such work. Elsewhere, Moghedien gets into unhygienic mischief. Later, Bear and Moiraine encourage Egwene to butt them out of her dream. It works, until she winds up strapped to a wheel in the same garb from her days in captivity with the Shan-Chan. Lanfear looms before her. Lanfear tells Egwene that Rand knows who she is. He also knows, well, everything. Egwene returns to this plane after the pin drops. Bear reminds her that if she believes she's more powerful than Lanfear, then she is. She can do anything in her dreams. Elsewhere, Rand and Moiraine reunite for the first time since Ruidian. He asks her questions about what she saw in the rings. Does he go mad? Does he kill Egwene? Will he kill Moiraine? Sometimes, Moiraine says in response to all three questions. The conversation pivots to the Soccernen which Moiraine has on her person. Moiraine asks for advice. How does one avoid being overwhelmed by its power? Rand advises her not to submit to it. Keep fighting. He admits he occasionally feels the pull of the one power. We see objects and debris rattle around them as Rand feels that pull. However, Moiraine snaps him out of it. After he walks away, we see Lan observing their chat from afar. Later, Fael and Perrin exchange personal stories. We learn that Fael is from Saldea. Her parents were generals, and she and her brother served as soldiers. One day, her mother revealed she was a dark friend. She wanted Fael to swear the oaths. Fael resisted, though, departing for the hunt for the Horn of Valere. Unfortunately, her mom killed her brother. Perrin tells her about Lila and how he feels responsible for her death. He adds that despite the pervasive darkness in this world, he looks at Fael and sees only light. Damn, if that's not the smoothest pickup line. At the White Cloaks camp, Padan arrives with an army to update Emond and Dane. He reveals he and his host encountered a bevy of Trollocs, but they made quick work of the beasts. Pedan offers to help the White Cloaks with the growing unrest in the two rivers. Next, Mat gets Tom up to speed on everything. Rand is the Dragon Reborn. Mat blew the horn of Valere and now speaks the old tongue. Then he spots Elayne, wondering why the daughter heir of Andor is in Tanchico. We learn that he used to serve in Queen Morgas's court. He sees she's having issues with a mercurial local. Tom steps in, claiming Elayne is his apprentice. The man orders Elayne to sing a song if she is in fact a Gleeman's apprentice. Elayne hops up to belt out a rousing rendition of the Hills of Tanchico, with Tom accompanying her. As it turns out, the daughter heir of Andor has pipes. Meanwhile, Nynaeve and Min get loosey-goosey in the pub. Nynaeve even cracks a joke. I love this unexpected pairing. An older man overhears them chatting about Liandrin, revealing she's here. Nynaeve covers his next round to hear more about what he knows. Ispan observes this interaction from afar. A lot of that is happening in this episode. Later, Naomi wakes to find Liandrin aiming an intricate weave at her forehead. Naomi reveals that the collar is in the Panarch's palace. Liandrin knows Naomi serves Ravin, and Lanfear wanted her to weed out the betrayer. Liandrin kills Naomi, but not before revealing her intention to become one of the Chosen, or Forsaken. Ispan returns from her trip to the pub to inform Liandrin of her findings. Then, Alanna feels it's almost time to shuffle off this mortal coil. Mat's younger sisters, Bode and Eldrin, visit Alanna to thank her for saving them. Maxim realizes they can channel. Alanna weakly walks them through the channeling process so they can heal her. Thankfully, it works. Alanna is back to her old self. Downstairs, Perrin tells Fael that his eyes glow gold because he's a wolf brother. The chat turns back to the Horn of Valere. Unable to keep the ruse going, Perrin shows Fael the drawing of Mat blowing said horn. She can't believe someone else found and blew it. Perrin kisses her. Fael teases him before smooching him again. Ah. Alanna and Maxim watch with a grin. Alanna offers to heal Perrin's wounds. Nynaeve and Min stumble upon Elayne and Mat singing The Hills of Tanchico as a group of revelers dances around them. They're impressed. Sure, Elayne didn't go the subtle route, but it all worked out. A man approaches Mat with the bracelet. We know the Black Aja has the second one, revealing he found it after studying the drawing Mat showed him. Mat pays him handsomely for his efforts. After this, Moghedien tracks down Ispan, who is also loyal to Ravin. She learns from Ispan that Liandrin killed Naomi for being a servant of Ravin, and that Liandrin wants to become a Forsaken. Moghedien kills Ispan. Next, Moghedien pays Nynaeve and Elayne a visit. She controls their minds with the same intricate weave Liandrin hopes to master. Moghedien senses Nynaeve's block. Nynaeve shares that she's afraid of her power, hence the block. Then, Nynaeve and Elayne gleefully disclose that they're accepted on a mission from the Emerlin's seat to track down the Black Aja. Oh, and they found one of the bracelets. Moghedien demands they hand it over. After doing this, Moghedien admits that Ravin wants them dead. Her Grey Men have tried to kill them twice, but to no avail. However, Moghedien loves to ruffle Ravin's feathers. Instead, she reveals that Elayne and Nynaeve won't recall this encounter, only that Moghedien knocked on the wrong door. Moghedien leaves a cut on Nynaeve's cheek as a parting gift. Once they return to themselves, our duo tries to retrace their steps. Nynaeve discovers the bracelet is gone, as Elayne notes the inexplicable slash on her face. Next, Egwene confronts Rand about Lanfear. He knew she was a Forsaken. Rand and Egwene argue as suppressed emotions bubble to the surface. Rand fires back that Egwene has been studying with the Wise Ones and won't give him the time of day. Egwene shares that Lanfear has been torturing her in her dreams. Rand insists he didn't know that. Suddenly, Samael barges in unannounced. Aviendha channels weapons, thrusting them at Samael. Egwene also channels, fending off Samael's soldiers. Rand produces weaves so powerful they rock the building to its core, culminating in an avalanche of debris as the structure collapses. Egwene and Aviendha stumble to their feet. Rand buries Samael in more debris. He looks entranced by his weaves, almost unaware of what he's doing. They inform Rand that Alcera was on the top floor. Rand recovers her body. She's dead, but Rand tries to revive her. Egwene, Aviendha, Moiraine, and Lan watch his futile efforts. Rand insists that the prophecy claims that he destroys and creates. He can bring Alcera back to life. Unfortunately, even the Dragon Reborn can't cheat death. Moiraine urges him to stop. He sobs. Meanwhile, Fael, Bane, and Chiad discover an army emerging from the ways. It's making a beeline for the two rivers, specifically Emond's Field. 7th episode, open on another day in Emond's Field. Perrin works the forge. Maxim instructs a group of villagers on how to use a spear. Alanna helps the Cothan girls, Bode and Eldrin, hone their channeling abilities. Everyone's dancing on a knife's edge, wondering when the Trollocs will barrel into the village. Suddenly, potential intruders arrive. Thankfully, it's the Tuathan, with Ela and Aram leading the wagons. They embrace Perrin. Perrin offers them shelter and water. Unfortunately, they were beset by Trollocs not far from Emond's Field. Rain did not make it. After this, Ela and Aram sit with Perrin and Fael for a spell. Ela expresses that she had hoped that Perrin would find his way back to the Tuathan. Aram believes that if he had, he'd be dead by now, like Rayan. Ela fires back that the way of the leaf has never been easy. Meanwhile, Bane and Chiad observe Aram from afar. He's pretty cute for a lost one. They communicate via a series of gestures, which Loyal translates. He doesn't think Aram would like that very much. Elsewhere, Alanna asks the current wisdom, Daze Congar, if she can channel. After all, Daze can see Alanna's weaves. She encourages Daze to join her and the Cothan girls. Eldrin and Bode want to get elaborate with their weaves, but Alanna reveals they'll be joining forces with her during the battle. Alanna reunites with Maxim to discuss their prospects. Maxim jokes that they're all going to die. The odds ain't great. Next, Perrin notices the wolf banners hanging around the village, thinking they're acknowledging the fact that he's a wolf brother. Fael remarks that Trollocs are notoriously frightened of wolves. Perrin doubts his leadership capabilities. Fael encourages Perrin, reminding him that the two rivers follows him because he's one of them. After this, Perrin meets with Dane to ask for the White Cloak's assistance in the inevitable battle. Dane's resistant to helping, but changes his tune when Perrin offers to turn himself in if they win. Perrin recognizes that violence cannot subsist anymore. The buck stops here. Dane decides to join forces with the two rivers in the hopes that Perrin will be brought to justice for killing his father. Then, Loyal finally agrees to play Maiden's Kiss with Chiad and Bane. However, even with their spears breaking the skin of his neck, Loyal refuses to kiss them. This poses a conundrum for the AL women. They don't want to kill him. Meanwhile, Maxim surprises Alanna with a fresh fig. After teasing each other, the proceedings quickly morph into make-up sex, or "this might be our last night alive, so let's go all out" sex. Admittedly, it's pretty dang hot. They decide to keep their bond on. Elsewhere, Perrin and Fael discuss the impending battle. Perrin wonders how the villagers will feel when they realize he led them to their deaths. He also wonders why Fael is fighting tooth and nail for the two rivers. She jokes that perhaps she's drawn to lost causes. He urges her to leave before the fighting starts. Fael insists she's here because she wants to fight. Perrin must set aside his fears that she'll end up like his late wife. Grief is a beast. Bane and Chiad decide to stop the game. Loyal observes that by doing this, they've saved his life, just as he saved theirs in Tar Valon. They've paid their toll and can go home. Our maidens recognize Loyal as trying to send them away before the fight. Bane insists that Chiad's toll has been paid, but not hers, and they're a package deal. It looks like the OJ lost this battle of wits. Later, Perrin shows Bode and Eldrin the drawing of Mat blowing the Horn of Valere. They can't believe their brother is the legendary hornblower. They crack jokes about Mat, inducing much-needed pre-battle laughter to alleviate everyone's collective anxiety. However, Perrin notices the army of Trollocs approaching in the distance, so that laughter is short-lived. Perrin gathers his war council to discuss next steps. He asks Isla and Aram to take the village's children and escape if the battle turns against our heroes. Of course, they won't take up arms, as per the way of the leaf. Isla vows to fulfill this request. Loyal reveals that he must shut the Waygate for good, lest more Trollocs use it to invade the two rivers. Perrin urges Loyal to close it and get himself to a steading to recover. The Two Rivers need someone to make it out alive to chronicle this battle if they lose. Bane and Chiad will accompany him. Then Perrin, now in battle armor, rallies the villagers by singing a rousing rendition of Sing of Manetheren. We last heard this in Season 1, but the tune takes on a new meaning here. After this, the Trollocs barrel forward, threatening to upend the series of wooden spikes erected to keep them out. Maxim leads his archers and spear throwers to give them hell. Next, Bane and Chiad shield Loyal as they make a beeline for the ways. Out on the hill, Alanna channels as the Cawthon girls and the Wisdom combine their abilities with hers. They rain down what looks like shards of glass on the Trollocs. The villagers successfully take out the first round of Trollocs. However, more loom on the horizon. That said, they're not attacking, which gives Perrin pause. Someone's controlling them. Suddenly, an arrow pierces Alanna's chest. Maxim lurches forward in agony, feeling Alanna's pain. With their Aes Sedai down for the count, their chances of a victory dwindle significantly. The Wisdom channels by herself in a rage, attempting to block the bevy of arrows whizzing toward Emond's field. Unfortunately, she can't hold the shield for long. When she breaks the weaves, the falling arrows kill her. Maxim attempts to motivate the villagers. Sure, they don't have a channeler on their side, but that doesn't mean they can't go down swinging. It's important they try. After taking out the opposition lingering before the waygate, Bane and Chiad bid farewell to Loyal, who enters it alone. Later, the Cawthon girls attempt to heal Alanna as they did before, but to no avail. Alanna admits she's proud of them for how far they've come in such a short time. Suddenly, reinforcements arrive in the form of the White Cloaks. Unfortunately, Padden Fane is with them. Perrin points out that Padden is a dark friend. Dane didn't know this, though. Sure enough, Padden pulls the strings of the Trollocs. He sicks them on the villagers. Now, it's the Two Rivers and White Cloaks versus Paddan and the Trollocs. Egwene's mother, Moiraine, leads the women's circle to defend the village. She urges Ela to leave with the children. As the Tuathan and the kids escape through a series of tunnels, Bane and Chiad battle more Trollocs as they charge toward the waygate. Outside, Aram encounters a Trolloc while carrying a child. He kills said Trolloc, which is, as we know, an irrevocable sin per the way of the leaf. Isla bears witness to this. Both sob as they realize what must happen next, Aram's exile. Meanwhile, our heroes are now on the losing side as the Trollocs overpower them. Perrin tells Fael that he's failed his people. She asks him what he would give the Two Rivers. Everything, Perrin responds vehemently. She urges him to show them that. Perrin picks up a hammer and axe and goes to town. Fires sprout up around the fighters. Blood spills. Bodies fall. It's pretty gruesome. Meanwhile, Emond spots the injured Alanna. Eldrin and Bode shield her as they channel together, their weaves fueled by grief and anger. They set Emond ablaze as an act of revenge for him burning their mother. How poetic. Bye-bye, Emond. Alanna looks on with pride. Then, Perrin squares off against Padden. He straddles Padden, his axe raised, ready to deliver the killing blow. However, Perrin refuses to stoop to Padden's level. Not to mention, Padden controls the Trollocs. He can call this off. Padden reveals they're razing the village to the ground to ruffle Rand's feathers. Perrin looks around as the Trollocs mercilessly slaughter his people. Meanwhile, Loyal wanders through the waygate. Unfortunately, a handful of Trollocs are now on his tail. Hammer in hand, Loyal starts pounding on the stone bridge, severing it. This is how he ensures that no Trolloc can use the ways here again. However, this courageous move means Loyal can't go home either. We see him falling with the debris to his death. At the same time, Perrin smells Padden's fear even after the latter declares he has thousands of Trollocs at his beck and call. Perrin reminds Padden that they're shepherds and farmers, not soldiers. However, Padden is the only one who is afraid to die. Perrin makes a deal with Padden. Call off the Trollocs. Run far away and never return. If Padden refuses, Perrin will kill him here and now. Padden barks out an order to the Trollocs, which sends them fleeing the village. The people of Emond's Field let out a collective cheer. They won. Perrin and Fael share a kiss. The following morning, the survivors rebuild the village. The Cawthon girls beg Alanna, who's now healed, to take them to the White Tower so they can train to become Aes Sedai. Alana gently refuses, revealing the pattern has bigger plans for them. Meanwhile, Aram looks forlorn and lost after Ela disowns him. Marin offers him a job as a blacksmith if he'd like to stay. Aram considers said offer. Perrin, Chiad, Fail, and Bane mourn the loss of Loyal. Perrin feels remorse for sending Loyal on his way. However, Loyal went down a hero. 8th episode opens with a flashback to Tarvalon 10 years ago. Elaida emerges from the red doorframe that Min saw in her vision. She looks pleased. Alviarin scolds Elaida for taking such a risk by striking a deal with an elfin. Many sisters have walked through that doorframe, never to return. After this, we see the hall vote on who should be the next Merlin seat, Siuan or Elaida. Moiraine watches the proceedings from afar. Siuan gets the majority vote, much to Elaida's ire. In the present, Elayne voices her concerns regarding the White Tower declaring for the Dragon Reborn. Siuan claims that if they don't, they'll lose the last battle. How does Siuan know this? Elayne insists that this will only drive a wedge between our Amerlin seat and her daughters. Elayne suggests they put this to a vote, have the Aes Sedai decide if the tower should support Rand. Meanwhile, in the Isle Waste, Rand mourns the loss of Alcera. He still owes her a tow. Egwene informs him that the Wise Ones are waiting. Elsewhere, Moiraine tells a captured Samael that he'll teach Rand everything he knows. Later, Liandrin asks Chesmal and Jean if they've found Ispan yet, whom Moghedien killed. They assume Liandrin offed her like she did Naomi. Jean toys with a Ter Angriel that purportedly creates balefire. Like an irritated mother chastising her child, Liandrin orders Jane not to play with something so powerful. Moghedien brings Liandrin the second cuff. Now, all they need is the collar, which is at Panarch's palace. After this, Nynaeve and Mat spot Liandrin with her crew departing for Panarch's palace. Nynaeve notices that she now has both cuffs. At the palace, Liandrin orders Chesmal and Jean to search for the collar. Then, Rand waits for Lanfear in his dream. She reveals she sent Samael as a surprise for Rand and planned to have the Age of Legends general teach Rand. Rand reveals he knows Lanfear tortured Egwene in her dreams. He claims he's leaving Lanfear for the same reasons Luz Theron did. She's jealous, petty, and cruel. Lanfear pivots, officially turning against Rand and showing her true colors. Egwene arrives and makes the Forsaken vanish. Rand and Egwene wake up. It was all a trap. After this, Rand, Egwene, Moiraine, Lan, Avienda, Bear, and Melaine brace themselves for Lanfear's return. They all, save Lan, start channeling. However, when she doesn't, Moiraine urges Rand not to assume he's the only thing she wants. Sure enough, outside, Lanfear approaches Melindra. She needs Melindra to do something for her. Meanwhile, Nynaeve, Mat, Min, Elayne, and Tom Merrilin arrive at Panarch's palace. Nynaeve assumes that a Forsaken manipulated her and Elaine's memories and stole the cuff. Elsewhere, Moghedien visits Samael in the Ael Waste. Samael tries to strike a deal with Moghedien. However, she's more interested in torturing him. Next, Ruark takes his clan to Alcair Dal, where Rand will present himself as the Karakarn to the Ael. Avienda encourages Egwene to choose her own path, even if that path diverges from Rand. Her destiny is her own. When the Tardat arrive, they see the other clans are already waiting, including the Shido. Lanfear approaches Savannah and Couladin with a proposal. They don't want that wetlander declaring himself the Karakarn, right? What if he had a challenger? Lanfear gives Couladin the requisite dragon tattoos on both of his forearms. Now he can persuade the Ael to follow him. Lanfear really is petty. Varen informs Siuan that 8 Red Sisters have departed the tower. Their trip wasn't sanctioned. Siuan orders Varen to tail them. Later, Nynaeve spots Liandrin and pursues her. Elayne and Tom search for the collar. Tom regaled Elayne with an anecdote from her childhood. She's amused but doesn't recall Tom being part of Queen Morgas's court. He admits he left court when she was 5. Elayne remarks that his departure preceded Lord Gabriel's arrival. Naturally, Tom doesn't know who that is, and he kept a close watch on the court for years. Then, Jane attacks Elayne and Tom with the Ter Angriel that produces balefire. They flee. Mat spots that infamous red doorframe. Min tries to stop him from crossing through it, but to no avail. He lands on the other side of said doorframe to find an eelfin. The eelfin tells Mat in Old Tongue, "By the ancient treaty, here is agreement made. Then, the creature asks Matt about his need. Outside, Min searches frantically for Matt. Caemlyn appears, so Min goes into hiding. Elsewhere, Liandrin storms into the space Nynaeve is as both hunt for the collar. However, after Liandrin storms out in a huff, Nynaeve hits the jackpot. Liandrin assumed it would look like an obvious collar based on her drawing, but Nynaeve, who has experience with the Siuan, knows better. She pockets a ring that's actually the collar. Later, while Tom and Elayne hide from Jane, they chat further about Gabriel. Gabriel isn't who he claims to be. Tom warns Elayne that her mother and the Lion Throne are in danger. Then he urges Elayne to run. He squares off against Jane, but before the latter can deliver a fatal blow, Elayne uses the T'angriel on Jane. The balefire essentially vaporizes her. Meanwhile, the Eelfin informs Matt that he has 3 wishes or needs. So what is his need? Matt notes a familiar smell emanating from the Eelfin. Then he yells that he needs to stop getting bollocked by every magical force on the planet. Matt is sick of the one power. Done, the Eelfin states. Next, the Eelfin offers to take the memories racing through Matt's mind that aren't his. So, that's need number 2. Matt finally recognizes the Eelfin's smell, the scent of the fox den by the old wisdom's house. It was always full of dead things. Matt voices his 3rd and final need, to get the fuck out of there. Relatable. The Eelfin remarks that it's unwise not to set terms or a price. So the Eelfin will establish the price that Matt will pay. How ominous. Suddenly, Matt returns to the room in Panarch's palace. He's hanging from a noose, just like in Min's vision. Caemlyn finds him. Min knocks her unconscious and cuts the rope from which Matt hangs. He's not breathing. Min tries to blow air into his mouth. Then she repeatedly smacks his chest until he wakes up. He pokes fun at her for kissing him, claiming there are easier ways of doing that. Matt comments that while the foreign memories are gone, he doesn't recall how they got here. There are certain things he can no longer remember. We see a necklace around his neck with a silver fox pendant. Uh-oh. Outside, Nynaeve anxiously awaits her friends. However, she reunites with Liandrin instead. Liandrin orders her to hand over the collar. When she refuses, Liandrin wraps Nynaeve in chains using weaves and takes the collar from her. Then, she tosses Nynaeve into the sea. Nynaeve sinks to the bottom because there's also an anchor attached to said chains. There, Nynaeve thinks of her daughter. She recalls what she told her daughter during her life with Lan in the Arches. Suddenly, Nynaeve channels, removing her chains. She also parts the waters like Moses. There's our girl, our badass channeler. It looks like she's one step closer to moving past her block. Later, Melindra tries to kill Lan per Lanfear's instructions. Lan senses her presence, though. He wonders when Melindra became a dark friend. Melindra claimed it was in the name of reviving Malkyr, but she now sees that Lan is the future of Malkyr. It's alive through him. She refuses to murder him, thereby breaking her dark oaths. Lan realizes that Melindra's spirit will die with her, never to be reborn. She perishes in his arms. Elsewhere, Rand tells Moiraine that he finally trusts her, despite her collaborating with Lanfear. He knows it was only to ensure he wins the last battle for the light. Now that Rand and Moiraine are on the same page, Rand must win over the Ael so he can have his army. Moiraine admits that it was smart to come here instead of going to Tyr. Meanwhile, Perrin and a few sisters find the Red Sisters' camp. Galena declares that Siuan can't prevent the Red Aja from doing their duty, which is to keep Perrin out of the tower. Sure enough, a coup d'etat is transpiring in the tower. Siuan is brought before Elaida, who reveals that the sitters ruled by a unanimous vote to depose her. Elaida also accuses Siuan of being a dark friend and of thwarting the tower's mission to cage the Dragon Reborn. For this, Siuan will be stilled. So, the sitters and Elaida do just that. It's heartbreaking. Siuan collapses when it's done. Then, Liandrin meets with Moiraine now that she has both cuffs and the collar. She proposes they work together. Initially, Moiraine scoffs at this. Why would a Forsaken want to work with an Aes Sedai, Black Aja, or no? Liandrin persuades her, though. They can cage Rand together. Elsewhere, Lanfear and Ravin find Samael's body after Mogidion's fun torture sesh. His blood looks like a spiderweb, so points for creativity. Lanfear reminds Ravin that Mogideon came for the weakest of them first. They must band together against her. Later, Couladin presents himself as the Caracarn to the Ael in Alcair Dal. Rand challenges him, asking what he learned in Ruidian. Rand states that his father was Janduin of the Iron Mountain Sept, clan chief of the Tardad. Born of the blood, but not raised by the blood. He reminds the Ael that the clan chief sent them to the wetlands to search for him, where he was raised. Rand declares that he is the true Caracarn. Then we see Siuan on the floor of the hall, bloodied and beaten. Alviarin, who's the keeper now that Elaida is the Emerlin's seat. Elaida arrives. She claims that Siuan must answer for her crimes. Elaida knows that she's been working in secret with Moiraine for 20 years. She believes Siuan knows where Moiraine and Rand are. Elaida asks Siuan to give them the truth. The truth is, I love Moiraine. I have always and will always love her, Siuan starts. We see Moiraine power up the Sakarnan to signal Lanfear. Lanfear sends a blast toward Moiraine, knocking her down. Siuan explains about her and Moiraine bearing witness to Katara's vision 20 years ago about the Dragon Reborn, and they set out on a mission to find him. Meanwhile, Rand speaks of what he saw in Ruidian, his ancestors for starters, and that the Aiel used to follow the way of the leaf. Those in attendance at Alcair Dal are bewildered by this reveal. Ruark urges Rand to stop, citing that his people aren't ready to face this truth. However, Rand was born to destroy the Aiel as much as save them. So, he calls them all Oathbreakers. Outrage ripples through the crowd as those within it immediately take opposing sides, spears raised. Elsewhere, Lanfear chokes Moiraine, getting ever closer to fulfilling one of the many visions of the future Moiraine saw in Ruidian. Rand claims that if the Ael don't follow him, they'll die. Siuan continues delivering her speech, reminding the Aes Sedai that the world is changing. They can no longer pretend they have control. Moiraine finally gains the upper hand, slamming the sand in a blast that sends Lanfear flying backward. Lan steps up to assist, his sword brandished. Lanfear regains her footing and blocks Moiraine's blasts. Then, Lan slashes her thigh with his sword. Next, Rand recites the prophecy of the Caracarn before demonstrating his channeling abilities. Can Couladin do that? Nope. Moiraine and Lanfear battle it out in a visually stunning sequence. Just two queens trying to kill each other. The Aiel watch as the weaves Rand creates turn into what resembles black smoke, curling upward toward the heavens. At the same time, Siuan's speech continues to resonate, well, at least with us viewers. For Elaida, it hits a nerve. Lanfear grabs Lan's sword and stabs Moiraine in the gut. She twists the blade with delight. I am Aes Sedai, Siuan declares. This means her words are true. She cannot tell a lie. She warns the sitters that if they stay, they'll burn in the tower they claim to love. Siuan won't, though. I defy you, she proudly tells Elaida. Alviarin sends a blast of power Siuan's way to silence her. We learn that Siuan's sentence is death. Suddenly, Alviarin beheads Siuan. Moiraine feels Siuan die. It's a punch to the gut, even with a sword fixed through it. In grief-fueled rage, Moiraine fights back against Lanfear. She takes Lan's sword, now engulfed in weaves courtesy of the One Power, and slices Lanfear in the neck. This doesn't kill the Forsaken. Instead, Lanfear escapes. Lan holds Moiraine as she sobs. Meanwhile, Rand's channeling brings rain to the Ael waste. He's destroyed them with the truth, and now he'll save them with rain. Ruark shouts out that Rand al'Thor is the Caracarn. The Ael start to bow. Elsewhere, Nynaeve, Min, Elayne, and Mat head back to Tar Valon. No Tom, though. They see darkened skies in the distance. Elaida moves into Siuan's quarters. In the Two Rivers, Fael, Bane, and Chiad scope out the base of the White Cloaks, undoubtedly to save Perrin. Rand, let go, please, Egwene calls out. Rand looks at her with a darkness in his eyes as the weaves appear to consume him, covering his face.